Hey, welcome to the Godshot on anxiety. I'm really happy that to help me to give you the best Godshot on this topic. My friend and licensed marriage and family counselor Cindy Garcia is with me. Cindy, thanks for
Hello.
coming up on this Godshot to help people deal with anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, anytime.
Cindy, why is it, in your opinion, that um, we're seeing so much anxiety these days? All ages.
Um,
Why do you
well,
think it's such a big deal now?
nowadays, I believe definitely the pandemic has a lot to do with this. We've all been cooped up in our homes for months and cut off from seeing our friends, family, maybe our significant others, not being able to work, so we're losing a sense of feeling productive. So we're just we become very, very anxious because we don't have our natural coping skills, which is to go to our friends, our family, and like some people they go to the gym or they like to run outside, and we were restricted from doing all those things. And it's very normal that a lot of people are struggling with anxiety right now.
Yeah. Cindy, people were anxious before the pandemic too. And I guess, was there anything particular in that pre-pandemic era that was causing it to be so prevalent?
Well, it's different for each individual. I've counseled many different ages and every different type of anxiety. I've had some people come in with social anxiety, which means it's exactly what it sounds like. You get anxious in social settings. So, like in big groups, in big crowds, at concerts, in a big party with your family. And I've had others that just have something called general anxiety disorder, or it's exactly what it sounds like. They have a generalized anxiety about like maybe schoolwork, maybe work that they have to do, maybe their relationships, not just romantic, but like maybe they're struggling with their parents or their siblings or family. So before the pandemic, it was a lot of I'm anxious because maybe I don't have the tools equipped to cope with it effectively, and then COVID just skyrocketed it.
Gotcha. Yeah. My experience as a youth minister when kids bring it up on retreat or to me in my youth groups and stuff, a lot of times the anxiety really kicked in um, following something happened, an event in their life that came out of nowhere, that they never saw, as a possibility, and they were unprepared for it, and then they become afraid that a lot of other things are going to go wrong as well. Would you say that that's actually kind of common?
That is very common. That is very common where like a loss or just something shocking happens, and it triggers a person to be like, "Oh no, like now I'm going to always be expecting the worst to happen." And then that just triggers the anxiety to just like boil him. It's like when you're boiling water, to make pasta. It just boils and boils and boils over time.
Mm, gotcha. That's a good analogy. I like that. Um, I know as a youth minister that uh, helping people trusting in God can be one of the ways in which they feel that they're not alone against the future. They don't need to fear the future because they're really not alone. But it's not enough to have a spiritual foundation there. They need, what issues would you help as a counselor? Would you help somebody who is struggling with anxiety to cope and to get through the experience?
Yeah, I've coped. I've coped. I've helped a lot of individuals cope with their anxiety in different forms. The issue is, I can't give like a general like coping skill because everyone's anxiety looks different. I've had some people like just staying busy helps with the anxiety. Like if you're just at home being a couch potato, not doing nothing, that's just gonna make you more and more anxious. But if you stay busy, like maybe clean your room, maybe cook a meal, maybe do some yoga in your living room or something. If you just stay busy, I've seen that helps some clients. Others, they struggle with verbalizing what exactly is triggering them to be anxious. They know they're anxious, but they can't pinpoint exact triggers. So I have them journal it. Like sometimes we're not good with our mouths, and sometimes putting something in black and white gives a person more clarity as to what they're feeling. I've had some clients like just freehand write, and then they read it over when they're done, and they're like, "Oh wow, I didn't know I was feeling all that stuff." And then I have them bring those journals into sessions, and then we process that. Others, I've had a lot of artsy clients, so if they love music, I encourage them to listen to more happy music, like nothing sad or no ballads of like life is depressing and I don't want to deal with it no more. Nothing like that. I encourage them to listen to happy music, music that makes them feel good. Others they play instruments, so I encourage them to play their instruments more, or some like to sing. I encourage them to like sing in the shower. Who doesn't like to do that? Like you feel like, you everyone sings the best when they're in the shower. So there's different coping skills for everyone, but if an individual feels like their anxiety is getting out of hand and it's just too overwhelming, please, I urge you to seek professional help. And I'm not saying that because I'm a therapist, but we all benefit from it. Believe it or not, therapists have to see their own therapist as well. Like, no one is perfect. So if it's struggling your daily activities, if it's struggling you on a daily basis, I would suggest you seek professional help. And there's no shame in that. I want people to know there is no shame in that.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Um, I know that there are meds for anxiety,
Mhm.
anti-anxiety meds. At what point does a person know that that's the way they have to go, or is that something that they can't possibly know? They need to talk to a professional.
Well, they usually would have to talk to a professional first. I've had a few cases where recently, well, like we were talking about, the pandemic has just skyrocketed people's anxiety. I've had a few cases that I've been treating them for like maybe 2 to 3 months. And if they are seeing some minor improvements, but not to the extent that they would want to, then I make a referral for them to see a psychiatrist. That doesn't mean that they stop seeing me. So they continue to see me on a weekly basis, but they see the psychiatrist on a monthly basis. Just once a month to just check in. And the psychiatrist is like, "Oh, how are you feeling? Do you need a refill? Okay, boom, here's your script. Okay, bye. Next." But they come to me for, the talk therapy. So if you're with a therapist for a while and it's not the improvements you want to see, then maybe, medication management should be considered. And there's also no shame in that either. A lot of us, our brains are just, constructed differently. And maybe it could be a hormonal imbalance, or it could be a biological imbalance. And the meds could stabilize it. And just because you start on meds, and I always tell my clients this, that doesn't mean you need to be on them for the rest of your life. You might get to the point where you want to be, and then you can slowly wean off of them, but with the consult of the psychiatrist, of course.
Right, right. Thank you for sharing that, Cindy, because sometimes I meet teenagers that their parents want them to feel better right away, and they bring them right to the psychiatrist, and they get the meds. And psychiatrists, God bless them, they're doctors. They have but their job is not to sit and listen for hours. That's your job.
Yeah.
So thank you for emphasizing that. Even if you're seeing a psychiatrist, to get to talk things through, the therapist is the one that can help you do that. So thank you
Yeah.
for emphasizing that. Anything else you want to give as far as advice on anxiety?
Not really, but the best coping mechanism is to like don't unacknowledge your resources that you have. If you have a pet, like use that pet for support. If you have a good relationship with your siblings, lean on them whenever you need help. If you are fortunate enough to have a good relationship with your parents, go to whichever one gives you the most support. But I think a lot of people, their anxiety has been getting worse because they forget to acknowledge the resources that are right in front of them.
Yeah, that makes
So
sense.
so pay attention to the things around you. And it
Okay.
could be like how you were talking earlier, Tony, like it could be God like speaking to you like this, like I'm giving you, like I'm showing you this is what you need and you're not noticing it. So don't take things for granted and appreciate the good things that you do have.
Thanks, Cindy.
Hmm.
Okay.